Every day you're selling your ideas, your time, your standards. The question is, are you closing or just coasting? Today, Rich Lyons shows you how to sell your life forward on purpose. Now, I'd like to welcome you back to The Advisor with Stacey Chillemi, the show that turns insight into action. Today's topic, Life is Sales, how awareness and choice help you maximize your potential in the real world. Stay with us because we're going to walk away with 5 concrete things that you do this week to level up your influence, your results, and your life. Now, if you learned something today, tap, follow, rate the show, and share this show with a friend who's building big things. It helps more people than you know. Now, today I'm really thrilled. We have a very special guest today, and his name is Rich Lyons. He is a coach, an author, and a host of Life is Sales podcast. You can find him at richlyons.com and lifesales.com. Rich, welcome to the show. Say hello and tell all our listeners a little about you. And we're really excited to have you on the show because you're amazing.
Thanks, Stacey. I appreciate it. It's great to be on the show, and thank you for having me. Rich Lyons. I had my own business for 14 years called Lyons Consulting Group. We were an e-commerce digital agency. I ended up selling that business to a big strategic company and stayed there for 4 years. And then since then, the last 4 years, I've been doing advisory work. So I serve on advisory boards, and I've just written a book that comes out October 7th. And I have a sales training platform, and I run some leadership cohorts. So always staying busy and always trying to give back, as you know, like we're always trying to help other people.
100%. Now, when you say life is sales, what do you mean beyond products and quotas?
Yeah, that's a great point. Like, I think sales typically has a very negative connotation because we think of, the sleazy car salesman or someone trying to sell you something you don't need. When I
Right.
say life is sales, I think we're always selling, it's not just a product or a service, and that's not our job, with a quota. But like I think about like when I was raising my children, I have 2 daughters, I was always selling them on their potential. I was
Right.
selling them to believe in themselves. Like we're always selling people, my employees, I was always selling them on their potential, like what they could do that they don't see. Right. So we're always selling ideas. Like it's not just, services and products. And I think it's an important skill if we're looking at it from the right perspective. And that perspective from what I think is that sales is service. Like, can we
Mhm.
serve someone? Am I holding this higher vision for someone and helping them to get there? Right. And even when I think the most successful salespeople, the quoted salespeople, they're trying to solve a problem. They're trying to help a person solve a problem. And if they can't, the best people know someone else that they can say, well, I can't help you, but let me introduce you to someone else and use
Yes.
their network to really help someone and really be of service. And I think that those relationships, that rapport that you develop with people, those are things that are of course, people want to get paid and get money and commission, but those relationships are amazing. And those are what carry us forward.
Oh, I agree totally. Now, follow up. I wanted to ask you a question that relates to the first question. So, what's a moment this week where the average person sold without realizing it?
Yeah, I think I was talking about children, like anyone who's a parent, very easy where you're trying to sell your children on, to put their shoes on, if you have young children, get dressed, help me get
Uh-huh.
out the door. But then with the older children too, believe in yourself. You
Yeah.
can do well on this test. Like you got to believe in yourself. We all have fear and we all, kind of have those moments where we don't believe in ourselves, right? We all have imposter syndrome. Every single person. I think if someone says they don't, they're lying.
Right.
So it's good to have someone in your corner that's selling you on your potential, that's holding, like, here's where I see you. You might
Yeah.
not see yourself here right now, but I see you here and I'm going to hold you to get there because you're not seeing it because you're so myopically focused right now. So I think everyone has those moments where you're
Oh,
talking
yeah.
to a friend and you're like, you've got this, or your child or your spouse, where you're like, you can do this. I know
Mhm.
you can. You might not believe it now, but I know you can.
Yeah. A lot of times too, it's funny, but I would be like that with my kids, and they're like, "All right, let's ask dad because I don't believe mom." It's like
That's great.
mommy always tells us we're great. I'm gonna go ask dad.
But isn't it funny though? But I think you're trying to sell them on that until they believe it for themselves.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And
And
I
that's
think as they get
exactly.
older, they will be like, hey, mom was right. Like
Yeah.
I do have these skills. Like I am starting to believe in myself because I mean, I think it takes a long time for all of us to kind of, what I'll say, get on our own side.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
And that's why
100%.
you need to surround yourself. I mean, I think people take it a little bit too lightly, but you have to surround yourself with a support network of people that really hold your highest for you because we all forget.
We do. And that's so true. They say the seven people around you that you spend the most time with are the people that you will become like. So you have to be very careful of who those seven people are going to be. So, like you said, you really have to hold those seven people around you that are high oriented, and they have your back, and then you know that they're really thinking about elevate and do the best they possibly can, and they want to reach their full potential. And if you fall backwards, they're going to catch you, and those are
100%.
the people.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more.
Now, what belief keeps people from owning their own inner salesperson?
I think a lot of it is, we all have these myths, from our childhood, or we've had a bad experience with a salesperson or someone trying to sell us something that we obviously don't need, right? And I
Yeah,
think there are those type of people, right? And maybe we've been those people before. But I do
yeah,
think, if you own the positive intent, in the best salesperson, like you're trying to help someone. And I think
yeah,
everyone doesn't hold that, like sales is really about service. Sales is really about relationship, right? Like a
yeah,
lot of the times when I was selling, I mean, I would get in relationship with someone and sometimes we would never talk about my service or my product. We're just
yeah,
talking. And I'd go into someone's office and I'd look around and I'd look at the books on their shelves and I'd be like, oh, I read that book. That's an awesome book. Or I'd look at
yeah,
their pictures on the wall. Oh, you have a daughter? I've got two daughters. That's amazing. Or I'd look at where did they go to school? Oh, they went to Ohio State. Well, I went to Michigan undergrad. So I'd walk in, I'd be like, sorry, we can't work together because you're an Ohio State fan and I'm a Michigan fan. And, but we're establishing rapport and building a
yeah,
relationship and ultimately building trust, right? And
yeah,
then that can evolve. Then if there's something I have that can help them and they have a problem I can help, of course. Or even like I said earlier, if I can't help them, I have a network of people where I'm like, well, let me introduce you to someone who can help you because I'm not the one. And I think the bad salesperson is still buy this even though you don't want it. Still buy
exactly.
this even though you can't use it.
Right.
So to have the awareness and the trust to be able to say, well, I don't think I actually can help you, but I know someone else who can. And
Yeah.
I think that's the importance of let's call it an integrous salesperson, right? And I think if we hold that it's just about relationships and just about service, why wouldn't we want to own that inner salesperson?
Right. I've seen so many people get burned by other people, and and they carry that with them. They just don't let go. And and then opportunities come, and that fear that they never let go of holds them back from actually moving forward. And how does a person, that has been burned in the past, do you have any suggestions that that they could learn to let go? And we all make bad
Yeah.
choices, as then that's what makes us better people, better business people, better everything. We make bad choices sometimes and we learn from them, and then it builds character, it builds resilience, it builds lots of things. But how do some people let go of that so they can just move forward?
I think that's a great question. I mean, I kind of look at it as an awareness thing, right? Like we all have fear, and we all, are afraid of being burned, whether we've been burned or not. I mean, obviously, if we had that experience of being burned, then we're even more afraid, right? But can
Yeah,
we kind of compartmentalize that and say, okay, I've gotten burned in the past, so hopefully I'm going to learn from that and make better decisions. But like my choices, of course, I have fear. If you think about scarcity, we all have this thing we call scarcity. which is mean there's not enough, right? There's not enough time, there's not enough money. Like if we can be aware of that, but then choose to trust. And that choice we have to make over and over and over. It's I
Yeah.
wish it were a one-time choice, but we have to make it over and over and over. And I kind of like my decision that I've made that I choose to trust in people. And
Yeah.
yes, I'll be burned and but I'm a big boy now, right? I'm not a little kid anymore with that kind of childlike fear, but I can take care of myself. But I'd rather live in a world where I choose to trust people.
Yes.
Right. And maybe I get burned sometimes, but that doesn't mean I stop trusting in people. And sure, I can, have a better sense of is this person trustworthy or not? Are they trying to burn me? But I guess the bigger choice is I'm going to continue to choose to trust in people. I think people inherently are good. And
Yeah.
that doesn't mean there aren't bad people and I might not get burned, but my choice in life is
Mm-hmm.
that I'd rather live in this world than in this world where I don't trust anyone. And I think everyone's
Right.
bad. Now
Right.
that's my choice, right? And everyone always says like you can't always control what happens to you, but you can control how you react to it. So
Yeah.
with awareness, I can always choose my reaction,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I can always choose to be like, okay, I got burned this time, but I still think there's good people out there. And those are the
Oh,
people I'm going to try to find.
yes. That's a great answer. Now, can you give us some replacement belief that actually moves results?
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk about sales specifically, and sales is a really interesting thing because you face a lot of rejection,
Yeah.
right? And if you think about that person calling the phone and making the numbers, how do you live with that rejection? People ask me that all the time, and
Yeah.
that failure over and over and over. And I kind of basically say, let's just break it down, right? Like, what can you achieve? So, say you're a salesperson and you have a quota and you're worried about that and you're worried about losing your job, but you can
Yeah.
set goals on a daily basis. Say you say, I'm going to make $50 a day, right?
Hmm.
So 250 a week, because ultimately sales is about metrics and is about numbers and can you outwork other people? But so say at the end of the day, end of Monday, I've made my 50 dials. I may
Hmm.
not have gotten a sale. I may have not gotten the meeting I wanted. I may have not gotten that proposal out, but I can feel good when I come home. I made my 50 dials,
Yeah.
right? And I can do the same thing on Tuesday. So let's define what we are in control of. And
Yeah.
then maybe after a period of time, you're like, then you start getting the meetings and you start getting the proposals. You're sending out your emails, you're doing the right thing. And you may determine, well, I need to make more dials. It's not working. Or maybe I need to make less dials. It is working, but
Yeah.
let's try to control what we can control, right? And like, what's your success? What, like for today, what's your success? Now, I literally would keep a notebook every day. I carry this around and I would put a box on the top of a piece of paper and I would tick mark like how
Hmm.
many calls I was making. I would just make the ticks and every five mark it off. So I knew every day like I had to do it as if my life depended on it because your
Yeah.
life kind of does.
Hmm.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And you may not get the sale, but let's do the building blocks and do the things we need to control and trust again back to trust
Yeah.
that if you're putting yourself in the world, things are going to come back and it's going to work out.
100%. Oh, 100%. Now, when it comes to awareness without choice is trivia. Help us turn awareness into decisions.
That's great. I mean, I think, I start with people a lot of times just with awareness of feelings. And
Mhm.
let's talk about five, what I'll call the five primary feelings, right? Fear, hurt, anger, sadness, joy. And then, of
Mhm.
course, you could be like anxiety or this, or I mean, but let's just say that's fear. So the big feelings, and it took me a long time as a man because I thought being stoic was the right thing,
Yeah.
right? Don't have any feelings. So
Hmm.
to really just be aware, like if I can be aware in the moment, oh, I'm feeling fear. Oh, that person said something to me and it hurt my feelings. Really hard, especially I'll say for me as a man in my generation to acknowledge hurt. Like you weren't supposed to be hurt, right? You
Yeah.
know, sadness. I mean, obviously we all want joy, but
Hmm.
what if they're just feelings? What if it's just energy? And
Yeah.
what if they're all going on at the same time? So think
Right.
about inside of me, I have this tornado of fear, hurt, anger, sadness, joy. So if someone asks you, hey, what are you feeling? You can't say nothing because that's
Yes.
not true. Now you can say, hey, are you afraid? You can't say no, but you could say, yeah, maybe at a one. Like you're
Mm-hmm.
not at a 10, right? But think about it, it's always going on, all the time. So when you're saying like with awareness, so if I can be aware, when I was running my own business, and I remember walking into a meeting and it's all my managers there, there's probably 15 people there. And I walk in and I just realized, speaking of awareness, I'm like, why do I hate all these people right now? Yeah. And you walk into the room and you're like, why do I want to kill everyone in this room? And I mean, that's awareness, right? I was aware, like, what's going on with me? So I literally, sat down. No one knows what's happening in here. Sat down and I started kind of tracking back, like, why am I feeling angry right now? Like, and just started tracking back, literally track myself back, what
Yeah.
happened to me. And maybe 2 hours ago, someone said something to me that really hurt my feelings. And I didn't acknowledge it at the time. I wasn't aware of it, but now I'm like, boom. Oh, now I understand why I'm really pissed off because someone hurt my feelings. I really wasn't aware of it, but now I kind of caught up with myself and boom, here I am back in this meeting and I
Mm-hmm.
don't hate everyone anymore and I can be in the meeting. But I
Yeah.
think this awareness that you're talking about, like this awareness of, okay, things happen to me. I'm not always aware of it in the moment, but I can catch it later and kind of
Mm-hmm.
back myself up and then be like, okay, boom, now I'm back in this meeting. I don't hate all these people. They didn't do anything to me. And I don't have to
Mm-hmm.
necessarily go tell the person that they hurt my feelings, but it was just me acknowledging to me, that's me affirming myself, being on my own side. Oh, my feelings were hurt. And then now I'm back here with choice to be able to deal in this meeting and stay on purpose and on track with what I want to accomplish in this meeting instead of being back 2 hours ago and not even being aware of it and leaking out this anger
Yeah.
that doesn't belong here.
And we talked about that too, because so many people, so many men do that, especially or you could just be in a family that just didn't talk about emotions and you
Right.
just carry that behavior. It could be a man or a woman. But what happens is that all those emotions go in your subconscious, and a lot of people, they get triggered and they don't even realize what's triggering them. It could be a phrase, it could be a behavior, it could be just the way the person moved and it just triggered something from the past and they go off and they say cruel things to somebody that's
Yeah.
really hurtful to the other person, and then you can't, it's very hard to take those words back sometimes, like, because you've hurt that person.
And we've all done it, but I think the point is, can we become more aware? So say you said
Yeah.
something and it hurt my feelings. Can I be more aware inside of this, to be like, oh, that really hurt my feelings? With that awareness, then I have choice. I don't have
Hmm.
to react back and be like an eye for an eye and try to hurt you back because you hurt me and create a big
Hmm.
mess. I
Yeah.
can then have choice and say, okay, wait a second, that hurt my feelings. I get it. Do I want to acknowledge that? Or, hey, we're in a meeting and we're trying to accomplish this. Can I up level back to like, okay, the meeting goal is more important. I can deal with my hurt later. But right
Yeah.
now, hey, can we do this? I don't have to tell you like you hurt my feelings, and I especially don't have to react, and try to hurt you because you hurt me. And I think
Exactly.
that was one of the hardest things I've had to learn as a husband and as a father to be
Hmm.
able to say that hurt my feelings
Right.
without punishment, without
Hmm.
reactivity. It's really, I mean, think about it, because a lot of times you could be like, you hurt my feelings, but you're trying to hurt back versus just like, that really hurt my feelings. And in saying that, I'm in here, I'm staying with myself. I'm acknowledging myself just by saying that hurt my feelings, but you don't have to do anything.
Right.
And I'm not trying to hurt you back.
Yeah.
Super hard in relationships, right? I
Oh,
mean, because you
100%.
get in the heat of the battle and you hurt me, I'm going to hurt you back. You're wrong, I'm right. Versus just, I mean, think about that. For me to just say, like, wow, that really hurt my feelings,
Yeah.
changes everything.
Yeah. That's so true. That is so true. Now, what daily awareness checks tells you that you're slipping into autopilot?
Wow, that's a, I mean, that's a really, really good. I mean, a friend of mine says we have to always assume we're in breakdown.
Hmm.
Like he literally, like every moment we're in breakdown. So you just
Yeah.
have to find it. You just have to find it. So I think, the awareness checks, like if I take, um, a couple minutes to breathe, sometimes I meditate, but just to check in with myself about what's going on. I mean, the autopilot, I guess the goal is, we all go on autopilot, right? But can I choose it consciously? Meaning, I've had a hard day, so I'm gonna binge watch on Netflix
Yeah.
and make it a choice. And then I'm gonna have to deal with, this stuff tomorrow, but I'm choosing it
Right.
versus the addictive cycle where I'm gonna go drink and I'm gonna stay up late and then I get up in the morning and then I'm all pissed off and I'm late for work and then I'm in this terribly destructive cycle versus
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm not gonna deal with it, but I'm consciously choosing like I'm just not doing it tonight and I'll take care of it tomorrow. But I'm choosing it versus just avoiding it and letting it create a bigger issue. So I
Right.
think the best consciousness checks for me is just the awareness, like where am I now? What
Yeah.
am I feeling? And guess what? No one has to know.
Yeah.
And I think people like I was always afraid, like, wow, if I really started acknowledging my fear and my hurt, like I would become fear
Hmm.
and I would become hurt and I would never come out of it. I would just walk around down the street crying all the time. And I am a big baby. I mean, I think having daughters and, getting married, like I can watch commercials about kids and start crying. But I think the point is like, I still get to choose how I want to be,
Yeah.
like, regardless of how I'm feeling. So I don't become fear. I don't become hurt. I don't become anger. I can feel those feelings, but guess what? I still get to choose what I want to be out here.
Yes.
Like people love to say, oh, I woke up on the wrong side of the bed, right? So you're grumpy or you're pissed off. I had a coach tell me, like, regardless of how you feel when you wake up, you still get to choose how you want to be
Yeah.
and how you want your day to be. So that's where we take control with choice. Oh, I woke
Mm.
up, I feel afraid, I feel angry, you kind of like tell yourself, like, so what?
Right.
What do I want to do today? And that's your intention, right? I mean, I was at a Salesforce conference in San Francisco once, Dreamforce, and Tony Robbins was there, giving a talk, and I had never seen Tony Robbins before. And it struck me like what he said is like, if I look at my phone right now, I can promise you I'm going to find an email that's going to piss me off and I'm going to be super angry, right? Like, I promise you, it's just going to ruin my day, right? He's like, so I have this rule 5 minutes. He's like, I give myself 5 minutes and I can bitch and blame and moan and swear in 5 minutes. And then at the end of the 5 minutes, either I'm going to do something about it, intention, I'm going to change it, I'm going to do something, or I'm going to stop complaining because there's nothing, complaining doesn't do anything for me.
Right.
So do I want to do something about it or just shut up
Yeah.
because I'm wasting energy? And I think that's the hard part, right? Like we all want, a mom. I want my mom to come take care of things for me, right?
Yeah.
Versus
Mhm.
the only person that's going to change my life is me.
Yeah.
And that's this intention we're talking about. If you want to know what your intention is, look around you.
Right.
Because consciously or unconsciously, like you were saying, you've created everything around you. So guess what? If you want it to change, no one else is going to change it. You
Yeah.
have to intend that change. And I think
Right.
that's a hard pill to swallow, but it's truly about we author our life, we intend our life. And if
Yeah.
we want it different, we have to make it different. So I
100.
like that for me, like, so stop bitching, like take your time to bitch and then either do something about it or shut up about it because you're wasting energy.
I love that. That's so true because so many people bitch and moan, but they don't do anything about it. And
Exactly.
You hit it right on the nose. You know, the only person that's going to make change is you. So if you are not happy with the life you have, if you're not happy with your job, if you're not happy with whatever is bothering you and
Anything.
not making anything, you have to take action. Nobody is going to do it for you. People have their own life, their own things to worry about. They're not going to come and save you all the time. You know, they might come once and pat you on the back, give you a hug, and try to help you out a few things with a few things. But don't expect them to keep not, running through your door and helping you. After one or two times, they're going to be like, babe,
I
you got
used
to
to
figure
make a
this out
joke,
yourself.
we have like personal trainers, right? Like, and they
Yeah.
support you to work out. And it's like sometimes we want like a personal liver. Like, come and live my life for me and take care of all the shit I'm just gonna sit here, right? And come and do
Uh-huh.
it. But it doesn't work that way. I mean, exactly what you're saying. Like, if we want it different, it's up to us. I mean, that's kind of the hard pill to swallow. It doesn't mean we can't get support from other people. It doesn't
Right.
mean we can't use other people to help us take care of ourselves. Like, I'm a big fan of getting massages, right? Like doing
Yeah.
reflexology. I do have a personal trainer. I work out. I mean, eating healthy, getting the right amount of sleep. All these things help, no question, and we can get support in them. But in the end, I'm making those choices to do those things.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Now, walk us through your micro choice moment. Like, what do you notice and what do you do? Like, what changes do you make in your life?
I mean, those micro choice moments are amazing because you could feel them, whatever it is, right? And I think that's the awareness, working on awareness. Like, I could feel, wherever you feel your fear, is it in your gut, or, are you clenching, or are you your teeth? I mean, there's different maybe areas, or you're clenching your fists, or you're not breathing. I mean, there's definitely maybe different tells, and that doesn't mean someone else knows, but like,
Yeah.
what that person said, like, and you could, I mean, if you're aware, you could feel your reactivity come up. Like, it's just there immediately. Like, someone says something and you just go, and you feel it. You're like, well, I just want to punch back right now. Like, whoo. I mean, and I think, anger is probably an easy one, but I think the tell on anger is it's usually because you're hurt or
Hmm.
you're afraid.
Yeah.
So if you can break it down, like, of course we feel the anger first, like, boom,
Yeah.
fire. Whoosh. Now, no one has to know that if you have a level of, social emotional intelligence, right? Like, you have a level of awareness and you're
Hmm.
like, ooh, anger's up, what just happened? But then to kind of back it up and like, okay, I'm angry, but let's check under that and look at hurt. Like, oh wow, that really hurt my feelings, or fear. Wow, I'm really afraid, because it's easier to jump to anger. So
Yeah.
can we then kind of pick it apart a little bit? Okay, okay, I'm afraid. Okay, that hurt my feelings. And then you have choice. Like, that micro moment is like the choice. Do I want to do something about it?
Right.
And sometimes yes, sometimes no. And sometimes if you're on point, right? Like, I'll talk about a sales meeting or any kind of meeting you're having, and there's a purpose for that meeting. And can you raise everyone up to, like,
Yeah.
okay, let's remember why we're in this meeting. This is what we're trying to accomplish. Even though you're pissed, you're hurt, you're afraid, but you're choosing to contain. Like, I'm a big containment person. And I do
Yeah.
think I was an electrical engineer, so I think a lot about circuits, like our capacity,
Mhm.
like
Right.
building your capacity to store charge. And you store it all up. Now, you do need to go talk to someone after, or, express, but you don't have to express in the moment,
Right.
right? That's your choice. And like,
Hmm.
to your point, you said earlier, like, when you're not aware and you just react, meeting's over.
Yeah. Hmm.
I mean, you missed it, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's true in every relationship. Like, I mean, I think we get married, to work through our unfinished business.
Yeah.
And my wife is my highly paid consultant to help me work through all my unfinished business. Because if there's anyone I want to blame more than anyone in the world, it is my wife, right?
Right.
And I just
Yeah.
want to, but I do think, gosh, we have an opportunity to work on ourselves and obviously become closer because of
Hmm.
that. but to work through, like, why did that trigger me? You mentioned it earlier, like something comes up and you just, I have to remind myself sometimes she's not my mom, or she's
Yeah.
not this other person, or and just be there in the moment and be able to just say, man, I'm really triggered, instead of taking it out. Let's have a conversation. Man, that hurt my feelings. Man, I'm really triggered and I don't even know what's going on, and I really want to kill you right now, but I'm not going to. So let's talk about this. But I mean, that's a different approach than
Yeah.
the kill approach.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that so many times with people, and I would be in the room a lot of times, and they would just go off and they would get angry at the person because something didn't go the way it was supposed to. But I'm thinking to myself, you know what? If you talk to that person or reworded that in a calmer, more relaxed mode, and maybe say, well, you know what? I was hoping for this and this and this to happen, and instead this happened. Can you tell me
Yeah.
why this happened? Or let's work this out, so maybe we can try to get to this result.
But think about what you just did there. Like, you basically, instead of reacting, you kind of decided, okay, I'm going to make a different choice, and I'm not going to, like, I want to react, but I'm not going to. I'm going to word it differently. I'm going to contain a little more, but I'm staying on point. Like what you said was really on point. Can we work through this? Can we, and that takes a ton of intention, but also a lot of awareness.
Hmm.
And I just think people need to work more on that kind of social emotional intelligence, which is being self-aware, which then
Yeah.
is also being relationally aware. Like,
Right.
and I think it's a superpower that people miss. Like, if
Yeah.
I'm aware of this, like if I'm aware of my own fear, hurt, anger, sadness, joy, what's going on here, I feel like it's a superpower in a room where I understand how other people feel.
Yeah.
But it starts here. But then all of a sudden you understand other people differently, and you're in a relationship, you're in rapport, you see things differently. It's like seriously like a superpower that
It
I
is.
I think people miss because they're afraid to focus here first.
Yeah. Once I started working on my heart and my inner self, and I became aware, and I was able to take a deep breath, take a step back, very quickly reevaluate, and then approach the situation differently. It was a life-changing moment for me. It was like it became a habit form and a good habit. And I started to approach everything in life in that way. And things just turned out more positive, and the situations turned out positive, relationships turned out more positive, and people used to joke around with me. And it's like, I don't understand how you're always able to like accomplish X, Y, and Z. Well, it's all how you approach the situation, it's all how you speak to someone, it's all how you approach it.
Right.
You're coming more from the heart and less from the brain, you
Yeah.
know.
No, I think what you said was a perfect, tools for someone to use, like take a breath, reevaluate. I mean, I think it sounds easy, but it's a lot harder, you
Yeah.
know. But like the result that you just said, like, it changes the world,
Hmm.
right? Because we live in, not to go off on a tangent, but we live in such a, litigation heavy world because we want to blame everyone. Like, something bad happened, I want to blame you, instead of looking at, well, how did I create it?
Yeah. Hmm.
And that's the tough part, to take
Right.
that authorship that it is my life. And if I
Yeah.
want it different, I have to choose to make it different. And
Yeah.
some of these things, like you're saying, like, take a breath, reevaluate, check in with yourself on what's going on. And no one has to know because it doesn't look differently, but
Yeah.
how you react is super different
Oh
because you're
yeah.
choosing that reaction instead of getting lost in
Hmm.
that reactivity and that reaction.
100%. Now, if somebody hates conflict, how can they still choose boldly?
It's a great question. I mean, I'm a conflict avoider. I mean, and I'm a more passive aggressive person. And I think, you can use your skills very well. Passive aggressives, or me being passive aggressive, is a
Yeah.
great skill because I'll put pressure on other people. And
Hmm.
that's passive aggressive, but it can be used very intentionally, like silence.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
ask a question and shut up. Super hard for
Right.
people to do.
Yes.
and let the other person burn. Yes, you're burning inside, but you're just like, wait, wait, don't talk it away. Let them feel the pressure. And that's not a negative. I'm not saying in a negative way. I'm
Yeah.
just saying in a relationship way.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when I talk about reactivity and assertion and intention and anger, it doesn't have to be the loud anger.
Yeah.
I mean, intention, like you've seen people and you know people, and you could feel it yourself where you feel an intention to get something done. And it's like your eyes are going to burn through something. Doesn't mean you
Mm-hmm.
have to raise your voice,
Right.
doesn't mean you have to scream at someone, but you're super clear that this is going to happen.
Yes.
And so I think those conflict avoiders like have this, like, you grow up in a family, like my mom was very hysterical and we're walking on eggshells. So, you come by it, naturally, right? But to be able to be, kind of very intentional, you don't have to scream, you don't have to yell, to get your point across and to be like, this is going to happen and I'm going to make sure it happens.
Mm-hmm.
This is my intention. I'm going to put everything behind it. Now, I don't
Right.
have to yell, I don't have to get angry, but I feel like this is going to happen and I'm putting my shoulder behind it and everything I got.
Agreed. Agreed. Now, potential is just unused capacity. How do we convert it?
Yeah, when I think about, it's funny, the electrical engineering, the circuit, how do you maximize your potential, right? And I
Yeah.
do think some of it is getting some of the resistance in your life out of the way. When
Hmm.
I think of circuits, you have voltage, you have the power, and you have the circuit, and you have resistance, and then you have this light bulb, let's say, as a very simple example
Yeah.
um, of a circuit. And then think of a more complicated circuit where you have all these different branches where
Yeah.
energy can go. Now,
Right.
unfortunately, sometimes we'll let our energy go to the loudest, right?
Hmm.
When it says the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? So
Yeah.
you have this urgent, like someone else is urgent, but is that the most important? I think that there's a really good sort, like is the loudest the most important?
Right.
Is the most urgent the most important? And sometimes it can be no. Like, so can we sometimes shut off these other, because all of our energy is going to go there. And so it's
Yeah.
never going to get over here. Like, here's our purpose. This is the big thing. We're trying to light this big light in our life. But all these other things are pulling our attention and pulling our energy because they're loud and they're
Yeah.
squeaky and they're urgent. So sometimes can we click off that, it's like a switch. Open the switch so no energy goes there.
Yeah.
Open the switch, no energy. So then you're generating more energy towards what is the most important. Now that's back to awareness, right? Like a lot of things are coming across our desk. A lot of people are asking about things for us, and they're very, very urgent. And can we make the sort,
Hmm.
be like, is it really that important? Is it really that urgent? Can it wait till tomorrow?
Yeah.
Is it moving my purpose? Like my purpose is over here. Is it moving my purpose forward?
Right.
Or is it just me wasting my energy on things I shouldn't be wasting my energy on? And
Right.
to me, that's maximizing my potential because I'm putting my energy towards what's going to be the greatest gift I can be, the greatest blessing I can be in this world.
Right.
Can I make it go there?
Yes. That's so true. Now, what's your simplest system for consistent outreach or opportunity creation?
That's a good one. I mean, I think I've got some. I mean, I put a lot of things in my calendar. Like here's an easy one for you. Easy, easy tip for me. Like I put people's birthdays in my calendar.
Right.
And so when I see, them show up, I don't have anyone's birthday in here today, but when I see someone pop up, on my calendar, like later this week, a friend's, birthday on Wednesday, a friend's birthday on Thursday, someone's wedding anniversary on Friday. Like I just put these little things in my, in my calendar as I learn them about friends and sometimes, you know, a client or someone I know, and just, little things you learn about them. And
Hmm.
then you can send them a little text. Super easy. when you're talking about connection and staying in relationship with people, because it's not easy. We're all busy and there's so much noise. But a little
Yeah.
text like happy anniversary. Hope you have a
Right.
good day or happy birthday. Go out and have a great adventure. And I hope you take time to celebrate you because you deserve it. That's like
Yeah.
1 second. I mean, that's a 10-second text. And it's just a quick check-in. And when I was, doing more active selling, like I always like I still have this Word document and I change it every year, but I keep this Word document where I take notes on every meeting. So I just take little notes. Like if there's something I need to follow up on, I just put in a Word document. I used to put it into a CRM system, but I'm not running a business anymore, so it's a different purpose. But then
Yeah.
I'll look back at that. And what did we talk about? And someone's going on vacation, right? So then next time we talk, I look back, simple. What did we talk about last time? Do a little homework. Don't waste someone's time. Oh, they went on vacation in the Bahamas or whatever. So next time we talk, I'll be like, how was your vacation in the Bahamas? But it's not hard, right? But it's just a little like, I'm remembering something about you. I'm not starting over because you already told me all these things and I took notes on it. So we can pick up where we left off instead of let's start again and I'm
Yeah.
wasting your time.
Exactly. I like that a lot. Now, how do you track progress when outcomes lag? Like what metrics matter week to week?
Yeah, I mean, I think, the things that I always tracked, my dials and nowadays a dial could be an email, like a personalized email, not like a mass email. It could be a reach out on LinkedIn or, so it's not always a phone dial necessarily, but it's an outreach, but a
Yeah.
personalized outreach, not I sent a
Generic.
hundred, I sent this message to 100 people. Personalized, like I'm connecting with you. I know something about you. I'm sending you something that you might find interesting. So
Yeah.
tracking those metrics, I think, are super important, like dials, meetings. A friend
Mhm.
of mine, when I was first getting into sales, said everyone has to eat.
Yeah.
So he said, so that's 2 meetings a day, breakfast and lunch. Because,
Hmm.
a business associate's not going to necessarily go out to dinner with you. They're going to go home. So you can have
Right.
coffee, breakfast, you can have lunch. So you should have 10 meetings a week.
Right.
And everyone thinks, oh, 3 meetings a week, five, go have coffee with someone, meet with someone. It's about relationships and rapport. So
Yeah.
track your dials and then track like pipeline ads, like a real opportunity, track proposals, and then start looking at wins and losses when you get there. But when you start, you're only doing the dials and the meetings. And then you
Yeah.
start getting proposals, then you start getting wins and losses. And I
Right.
have I have years of spreadsheets that have
Mhm.
every day of every week for 52 weeks of the year. But
Wow.
you know what that can tell me at the end? I
Yeah.
know how much I sold, so
Hmm.
it tells me how much every dial meant to me.
Yes.
Dollars. Every dial is worth this much to me this past year. Every
Mhm.
meeting I had was worth this much to me this past year. Every proposal was worth this much. So when
Yeah.
I plan for the next year, I'm not guessing. If I want to sell twice as much, I have to make twice as many dials.
Yeah.
And I have to have twice as many meetings because everyone gets magical about this and like I'm going to do the exact same thing, but I'm going to sell twice as much. Doesn't work. That math doesn't work. But none of us want to be like, oh, I have to make twice as many dials. I have to have twice as many meetings, you
Yeah.
know. And I think it's, let's take the bullshit out of it. And sometimes we just got to grind.
Yeah.
And I
For
used to
sure.
have contests like you can make it fun. I used to have contests with a friend of mine, like, hey, whoever makes the most dials today, the other person buys them lunch tomorrow. Like gamified, like have fun with
Yeah.
it,
Right.
and I'm happy to see him and buy him lunch if I lose. But we
Right.
both tried harder.
Yeah. That's a great way of doing it. That's a great way because you know what? It gets so stressful sometimes. People get
But
so stressed out, especially in sales, and sometimes you got to make it a little bit fun. I see people go in and they're very serious about everything. It's that type A personality, but that can kill you. It really can. But, the stress kills, and that you got to put a little fun in it somehow. If you really enjoy what you're doing, if you enjoy interacting with people, if you enjoy making that sale, if that close gives you like a thrill, make it a little fun, like,
so
we're reward yourself, reward your friend, like that contest thing is great.
It's
You and
so
your
fun.
friend are going to
I
be
mean, you
like,
got to have rewards and consequences or we won't do it. I mean, no one
yeah,
likes to pick up the phone and make cold calls. I mean, come on. So you got to
yeah.
have some rewards, you got to have some consequences and really have fun with it.
I agree. That's a great way of looking at it. You know what? I think I'm going to call one of my friends and do one of those a happy Halloween lunch.
Absolutely. It's fun though, right? I mean, and you're both pulling in the same direction. You're both supporting each other. I mean, it's great.
And the one that loses has to wear the witch's hat.
I love that. I think that's great.
Now, let's do a quick case. Like, I'm a listener who wants to raise a new client, healthy boundaries in my life. Give me your 60-second play, like opener, your value, your clean ask, so people can like kind of learn from you.
Sure. I mean, I think you got to find an opener like to establish some rapport. So if you know something about them, or I mean, the worst ones probably ask about the weather, but still, I mean, you need some icebreakers. So you always start with that.
Hmm.
Like, hey, how was your weekend, or great weather we're having, or whatever. But if you know something about them, you can ask something more personal too. So you need kind of that icebreaker, that opener. And then you got to I always want to get them talking a little bit, first, so if it's a cold call, it might be a little harder. Maybe you did some research on them, or if you had a meeting already, you'd be like, hey, in the last meeting, this is what we covered, and this is where we left it. So now we're coming back. Has anything changed? Is there anything different, from your perspective? Get them talking, right?
Right.
And then you listen. And then I don't want to get to my pitch too soon. I think
Mhm.
people get over anxious to get into, and especially when you have PowerPoints, like I want to show my deck, and you just cranking through the pages, but you don't realize the reason you're showing a deck is to get them to talk and
Yeah,
get them to react. It's not about getting to your 30th slide, right?
right.
So even in
Exactly.
that deck, you're like, here's what we talked about last time. Is this all right? Has
Mhm.
anything changed? Can you tell me, are there any goals that are different? And
Yeah,
then you can personalize your pitch because you've learned more about them.
yeah,
Because I think everyone wants to get into the pitch because you know what, like, here, let me pitch you on this. Well, if I know more about them, my pitch becomes personalized.
yeah,
And I can say, you just mentioned this to me. And this slide right here, like this is speaking like right to what you said, right? Because you told me this and this, and then later in your deck, you can skip slides. Later in your deck, you're like, this customer, they had exactly the same problem you just told me about, and we
yeah,
created some really measurable results for them, and then you're done, right? And
right.
and then you gotta conclude and set a follow up. Depending on where you are in that pipeline, right? In terms of your stages, is it time for a proposal? Is it time for a next call where you're going to dive deeper into scope so you can do a proposal? Is it just they're not ready? Can I call you back in 2 months? Is that a good timing for you? I'll set it on the calendar, or you just started your pitch and now you're ready to have a meeting. Hey, let's grab a cup of coffee. We can go in more depth. So I think you always have to have that then kind of action. You don't ever want to leave without,
Mhm.
some kind of yes.
Right,
So it doesn't have to be yes to a sale. I mean, of course, we all want that. Yes
right.
to the next call, yes to the next meeting, yes to a proposal. Let's end with some yes, and because you just want to keep them saying yes, make it easy for them to say yes, and then
Yeah.
have that follow up step, and then obviously thank them for their time, and then you're out.
I love it. I love it. Now, Rich, before we wrap it up, listeners were promised 5 concrete things they can do this week to sell their life forward. What are your 5?
Yeah, I'm gonna steal. I mean, I'm gonna steal some from you because you had some there. I mean, I think one for sure is going to be awareness, right? Can
Mhm.
we work our awareness? And there's a lot of different ways to do that, but can we be more socially, emotionally aware of this? And I think that's the key, number one. Number two would be, and that's why I said I'm stealing from you. If you do
Mhm.
feel that reactivity, if you do feel that hurt, that fear, take a breath.
Yeah.
You kind of said it, you don't have to react. I think we do react because we're not aware. But
Mhm.
if you feel it, just take the breath, you set it, reassess, right? Reevaluate, and then decide where you want to go. And
Hmm.
even if you have this tornado going on and you're freaking going crazy in here, fear, hurt, anger, sadness, joy, and you feel like you're losing your shit, no one knows that.
Right.
So I think the third is just choose.
Yeah.
Choose, like, regardless of how you feel, you still get to choose how you want to be. And no one knows that tornado's going on because you're going to develop, I'd say number four, develop your capacity to contain. Just
Hmm.
work on it. Like in
Yeah.
those stressful situations, can you contain that, not spill it, not leak it, still choose your direction?
Right.
And I think lastly, have fun. I mean, sales is about service, sales is about relationship.
Hmm.
Enjoy the relationship. Ask them something about themselves. Find out something about someone. Find something in common because that's how you build trust.
Yes.
Don't be overly focused on the sale.
Right.
Be overly focused on service and be overly focused on the relationship.
Yeah. I like that a lot. That's great. Now, tell us a little about some of the services that you provide for people.
Sure. I mean, on my website, lifeissales.com. I mean, I have a new book coming out. So this launches on October 7th. So Life is Sales, a holistic approach to sales, self-discovery, and living a life of purpose. I've got a sales training program for people that are interested that has videos, a manual. You can join a sales group. You can get sales coaching. You know, if you're kind of feeling lonely and out on an island. I also run leadership groups. We meet every 3 weeks for a couple hours, you know, for people that really want a cohort kind of support that's not just about business, let's say, but like all the areas of life that we've talked about here today. You know,
Right.
so a lot of that's is on the website.
I love that. So is your book is now available, right? It's currently in the
It's
bookstore?
available for pre-order on Amazon, and then it actually releases October 7th. So, I
Oh,
mean, we're
excellent.
recording on October 6th, but you know, I don't know when this will go, but it will be live for purchase October 7th.
I love it. I love it. So is there anything else that you'd like to share before we end this conversation?
No, thank you. I really enjoyed our conversation. Thanks, Stacey, for having me on. I mean, it's been a pleasure. I mean, it's felt like we're very aligned, and it's been a very easy conversation. And hopefully, some of your listeners will be able to take a few tidbits that will help them out.
I definitely think they will. You've been amazing. And I love the fact that you're not only talking about sales, you really interact, with emotional healing, really understanding the person, understanding how they tick and really, and being able to connect that awareness that we were talking about.
Yeah.
And that is so important when it comes to sales. And I think sometimes, like you mentioned earlier, people forget that it's not just about the product or the service and closing it. It's about being aware. It's about, making relationships. It's about a lot of different components that don't include sales. And when you
So,
we go ahead.
no, I was just saying totally. Can we help someone? You know what I mean? Like, can we help them and be of service and trust that even if we're not getting money or we're not selling a project, like things will come back. Everything works out.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Rich, for being on the show. Can you tell everybody before we leave where they can find you? You have two websites available.
Yeah, I do. So richlyons.com and then lifeissales.com. So you can find me on either one of those and message me. I'll be happy to chat.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Rich, for being on the show. This has been totally amazing, and your knowledge is unbelievable. I really enjoyed our conversation, and you really provided a lot of great knowledge and information. And I just thank you so much for coming on our show.
Well, thank you, Stacey. It's been great. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. You have a great day.
You too.